Tanse, I'm Chris Nachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. MPs returned to Ottawa on Monday for the opening of the fall session of Parliament. The Carney government is set to deliver a budget in this sitting, and word on the Hill is that it will be an austerity budget with cuts. The debate on the government's recently passed Bill C-5 or One Economy Act legislation will also be a hot topic. APTN's Fraser Needham has more.
Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Galmasti says that her department will be working on a number of priorities in this sitting. This includes reintroducing the First Nations Clean Water Act, which died on the order paper in the last Parliament.
We did commit that we would be putting the water legislation back on the table. I hope that everybody in the House is going to support this process. Water is a very critical issue in community. We want to be sure that people view this as a non-partisan agenda and that they work with us to really push those solutions forward for them.
Monday was also the first time Prime Minister Mark Carney and Conservative opposition leader Pierre Poilievre faced off against each other in question period. This after Poilievre lost his Ottawa seat in the spring election, but gained a new one in a summer by-election in Alberta. NDP MP Leah Gazan says her party will continue to challenge the government on Bill C-5. She adds the announcement of a new Indigenous Advisory Council last week to advise on major projects makes little difference.
I think it's just another action of the federal government, smoke and mirrors action, to appear as if they're consulting when in fact they are failing to uphold the jurisdictional and rights to self-determination of Indigenous peoples. They are certainly violating rights contained within Section 35 and Section 35(3) of the Constitution.
Gazan also sass the NDP will press the Liberals to withdraw any projected cuts to Indigenous services in the upcoming budget.
They've already made it clear that there's going to be 15% cutbacks on, for example, Indigenous services, ISK, Crown Indigenous Relations, when there's no wiggle room. So they are building a military and building an economy on the backs of people that have already had their human rights violated and people who are already left behind.
But Galmasti says her department is working to make Indigenous services more efficient without reducing services.
We really did a lot of reflection at ISK to see how are we going to go and find those efficiencies in our department. We are a large department. We wanted to hone in and see what are those programs that are really working for community, what are those some programs that are not reaching their targets, what can we do to really align with supporting the communities in the way they want to be supported.
This sitting of Parliament is scheduled to wrap up in mid-December. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
A candlelight vigil was held on the same day that Tanya Jane Nepinak went missing from Winnipeg 14 years ago. Her daughter wanted to hold the event as a reminder to the public that she is loved and missed. And as TR Wheatley shows us, a lot has changed since then, including how the Winnipeg police do outreach with families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
Candles lit as people reflected, and the sound of the drum echoed in the air.
Marks 14 years since my mom has been missing.
Aww, it's okay.
An emotional Jasmine Mann has rallied the community together to honor her mother, Tanya Jane Nepinak.
I was only 10 years old when I lost my mom. And it was really hard growing up without her, understanding the story behind it as I grew up. My mom, Tanya Nepinak, deserves justice. I want her home so we can finally have the closure we need and the justice she deserves. My mom had such a big heart. She loved her children more than anything. One of the best memories I have of my mom is her dancing. Her favorites were Shania Twain and Shakira. She would dance all around her room, getting us to dance with her.
On September 13th, 2011, with $5 in hand, she told her family she was going to grab a pizza at a nearby store. She never returned home, so family and friends took to the streets. For months, the family hung posters on their own, making pleas to the public without the help of Indigenous organizations or the Winnipeg police. Now, all these years later, the WPS have hired Sheila North as an external Indigenous relations officer. When Tanya went missing, North was a reporter in the city and recalls WPS told the family Tanya may have went on vacation and didn't take her case seriously.
Very hurtful on how they relayed information and how they reacted to family when they reported Tanya missing the first time.
In 2012, WPS announced that Sean Lamb was charged with second-degree murder for Nepinak. However, those charges were stayed because there wasn't enough evidence. But Lamb is in prison for killing 2 other First Nations women within months of Tanya. Around the same time, news broke that Tanya's remains may be in the Brady Road landfill. A search was done, but it concluded in less than a week.
It was a different time, and it was because of the work and the hearts of people like the family of Tanya Nepinak that has changed to where we are now, that they're attending vigils and that they actually care and they want to learn about what's actually going on.
Over the years, family members like her Aunt Sue Caribou never gave up, always pushing for another search.
They're not trash.
This past spring, the province and the WPS announced they would be conducting a search at the Brady landfill for a different missing woman, Ashley Shingus. She was killed in 2022 by a serial killer who received life in prison for first-degree murder ×4 for 4 First Nations women. Not long after that announcement, Tanya's family was told she would be included in the new search. While there is no promise of finding either woman, the shift in how WPS handles these types of cases today is why North has agreed to work with them.
But I'm very hopeful too, because I know that things change, people change, time changes, and if I am able to criticize, I should be able to help too.
Help from North that Tanya's family is grateful to have.
We're going to bring our beautiful Tanya Nepinak home.
Not just for themselves, but for the entire city, as the WPS continues to try build a working relationship with the Indigenous community. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
4 people have died and another has been seriously injured after a small plane crashed just 40 kilometers south of St. Teresa Point First Nation in northern Manitoba. According to Island Lake RCMP, the plane crashed on Saturday evening at around 6:45 p.m. near Makepeace Lake, shortly after it departed from St. Teresa Point and was heading to Makepeace Lake. A helicopter located the crash site before a search and rescue team from CFB Trenton from Ontario was sent. 2 crew members then dropped on site and walked on foot to reach the crash site. Mounties say the team located a 20-year-old male pilot with serious injuries but non-life-threatening. 2 male passengers, a 53-year-old man and a 49-year-old man, and 2 50-year-old female passengers were all found deceased, and all 4 were from St. Teresa Point. The crash site was located thanks to an iPhone satellite emergency notification. The single-engine plane was a float plane known as a Beaver and belonged to an aircraft company in St. Teresa Point. In a statement, Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief Kyra Wilson said, "We grieve with you. The loss of community members in such a sudden and in devastating way is felt across all our nations. In this time of heartbreak, we stand with St. Teresa Point." The Transportation Safety Board of Canada, along with the RCMP, are investigating the crash this week. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Another leader from the Tsuut'ina Nation in Alberta has been charged. That story when we come back. We'll be right back. welcome back. For the second time this summer, a leader from the Tsuut'ina Nation near Calgary has been charged with sexual assault. Minor Chief Emmett Crowchild has been charged with sexual assault in February incident that happened on or near the Tsuut'ina Nation. Crowchild made his first court appearance on August 20th and is due back in court on Friday, October 17th. Tsuut'ina police told APTN they for now have no comment but will be releasing a statement in the near future. Last month, Chief Roy Whitney was also charged with 2 counts of sexual assault from alleged incidents from 1994 and 2005. Tsuut'ina is now planning to have elections for chief and minor chiefs in November. Edmonton police are asking people to be on the lookout for a 34-year-old missing woman. Bobby Steinhauer has not been seen since July, when she was last seen near downtown Edmonton near Ambrose Place in the 9000 block of 106th Avenue. She is described as very thin, and due to a medical condition, her head tilts up and to the left, and she has a slack jaw. Edmonton police are concerned about her well-being and ask anyone with information to come forward. The virtual health hub in Saskatchewan broke ground last week. The new facility will bring health care to remote communities in the province's north. APTN video journalist Rachel May was at the groundbreaking ceremony.
All of us know how crucial primary care services are for rural, remote, and northern Indigenous communities.
Minister of Indigenous Services Canada, Mandy Gull-Masti, was in Saskatchewan for the groundbreaking of the virtual health hub at Whitecap Dakota First Nation. The facility will feature technology to help northern communities access health care closer to home. Using robotics in real time with trained technicians, patients will be able to see a doctor and receive results without leaving their home communities. Gull-Masti said this technology is bringing a vital service to northern residents.
Parents shouldn't have to drive hours for their children to receive care from a doctor, and elders shouldn't have to wait weeks to be seen by a doctor. And this project really speaks to that, removing those barriers.
The federal government has invested $28.2 million into the construction of the hub. Whitecap Dakota First Nation Chief Darcy Bear said this funding is critical to ensure the facility can continue to expand and grow.
We've been doing work already. Dr. Mendes, we're in 15 communities, I think, already in Saskatchewan. But they were spending over $1 million just on ultrasonography and Stanley Mission.
The facility is expected to connect 30 remote communities to healthcare. Chief Bear says the virtual health hub is already operating in some communities through pilot projects that show how vital this service is.
We've done some pilot projects in Saskatoon. So we did this one pilot project in the city, the Park Ridge Care Home Center. And in one given month, there would have been 58 people transported to the ER room, emergency room. And because of the technology we had, only 8 people had to actually go to the emergency room. But this is the kind of work we're doing.
The hub is expected to be completed and operational by April 2027. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority, or SIGA, has been fined for more than $1 million for compliance violations. The Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada announced on Friday it has imposed the administrative violations against SIGA in the amount of $1,175,000. The violations include failing to submit 4 suspicious transaction reports where there were reasonable grounds to suspect potential money laundering or terrorist financing, leaving required details out of 3 additional reports, and failing to maintain up-to-date compliance policies. SIGA has since disputed the allegations, saying there is no money laundering, terrorist financing, or other financial crimes at SIGA. SIGA also says it disagrees with the findings and will appeal the decision in federal court. The City of Montreal and the Montreal Transit Corporation announced the names of the 5 new metro stations on the extension of the city's Blue Line, honoring women and communities, most notably an Indigenous woman widely respected across many nations. APTN's Kim Sullivan reports.
Breaking from the tradition of naming Montreal metro stations after nearby streets, the 5 new future stations along the extended Blue Line will honor communities that have shaped the city's history while also spotlighting women who have made significant contributions to Quebec's social, cultural, and economic life. One of these stations will be named in honor of Mary 2 Acts Early.
Mary had such a big role in the women's rights movement in this country, so we need more people to know that.
Filmmaker Courtney Montour, who like 2 Acts Early is Mohawk from Ganawage, released a documentary in 2021 telling the story of this important figure.
Mary 2 Acts Early is a role model and inspiration. She helped lead a movement to restore the rights to First Nations women and children across Canada who were discriminated in the Indian Act with sex discrimination. And her work has really inspired, a movement that continues to this day.
2 Acts Early lost her Indian status by marrying a non-Aboriginal man and became an emblematic figure in the defense of Indigenous women's rights. She played a central role in the 1985 movement to pass Bill C-31 and amend the Indian Act. This led to the creation of a new process of reinstatement for affected First Nations women to have their status restored. Courtney accompanied 2 Acts Early's family to the unveiling of the station's name.
It was a roller coaster of emotions. To be there with Mary's family, 3 generations of the family showed up, and I think even they couldn't have expected, Mary's legacy and work to still be carrying on in this way and to be recognized. So there was a lot of pride to be there.
It may be 2031 before anyone can step off at the Mary 2 Acts Early station, but the pride in her legacy is already on board. Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Montreal.
A Métis woman in Yellowknife is giving back to the community. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. A heavy rainfall in southeastern Manitoba this past Friday led to some flooded areas, and Dave Menzies shared this photo of his front yard. Hopefully the house stayed dry, Dave, and that can definitely be called an e-high moment. Send us your photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. On the East Coast, St. John's, rain in 14, Charlottetown, partly cloudy and 21. Nuujooak, rain in 10, La Grande River, sunny and 19. Sunny in Quebec City at 24, St. Jovite 24. 27 in Ottawa, London 26. Sudbury 25, Thunder Bay 27. Rain in Churchill at 8, Thompson partly cloudy and 19. Gimli 22, Dauphin 25. 25 in Yorkton, rain in Estevan at 25. 21 in Meadow Lake, Stony Rapids 17. Partly cloudy in Peace River at 24, Fort McMurray 19. 27 in Lethbridge, 25 in Calgary. Sunny in Campbell River at 23, Kamloops 29. Fort Nelson 21, Smithers 21. Mayo 13, Rock River 9. Fort Simpson 22, Yellowknife 14. Fort McPherson 9, Inuvik 10. Rain in Baker Lake at 5, Chesterfield 5. And Iqaluit 3, Clyde River +1 and sunny. A North Slave Métis woman in Yellowknife has been growing a garden for her community for the past 2 years. APTN video journalist Bruce De La Cruz tells us her plans to continue to feed her community one crop at a time.
Shirley Coumont is a contractor for the North Slave Métis Alliance in Yellowknife. But when she's not at her desk, she is at the Alliance's community garden. Coumont has operated the garden since 2023 to promote food security for the North Slave Métis Alliance, which numbers around 300, and build community at the same time.
So for me, I see it as a place to connect with others, with themselves, and with the earth and the Creator.
Coumont has enjoyed gardening since she was a little girl. Today, it is her way of sharing and healing with those around her.
It'll turn nice and red, darker red. And my earliest memories, and I was actually sick with a chest cold. And I remember even the doctor's appointment before that, and him telling whoever was with me, put her in the garden. So I remember vividly the day that I was sitting in the garden, being ill, but also feeling very alive and happy and connected. That doctor was so correct in saying this is where she can heal.
She also says the community garden helps the North Slave Métis to stick to their roots of traditional gardening.
We have a cultural gathering place at Old Fort Ray, and there are signs of people planting things that have stood the test of time, like the rhubarb and the berry patches that are planted there. So we want to renew that and see what else we could have in our food forest there.
Coumont gave APTN News some food for thought and explained gardening can be a step towards reconciliation.
Being able to provide for our own selves and having that autonomy. We are a distinct group of people and want to be recognized as such and have our voice heard. And we want to be a healthy, thriving community.
Coumont left us with a small taste of her vision for the future.
I feel like growing the garden is nurturing our community, and the more it grows, our community grows closer together. And so it's really important that we are able to expand it to the point where we can actually provide enough food for everyone. And right now it's, we start small, but we'll get there.
Shirley has big plans for the North Slave Métis Alliance's community garden here in Yellowknife. These include finding more volunteers, buying more equipment, and securing more land for expansion. Shirley is inviting the public to the community garden to come check it out. She can be contacted by email at shirley.cumont@nsma.net. Bruce de la Cruz, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
And you can definitely say that Shirley is outstanding in her field. And that's your evening newscast for this Monday, September 15th. We're back again for your daytime newscast tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi, Kananasko Mitten, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next day.